when people come together, it creates a magic. Sometimes the energy gets together and they go up to a level where it's absolutely fantastic and it becomes art, the art of flying together.
Hello, welcome to Arsenal Asia Talk. I'm Dr. Oscar and I'm joined by the lovely Liam Redican. How are you doing today, Liam?
Very well. Happy Friday, everyone who is listening and who's going to listen, even though it might not be on a Friday. And Dr. Oscar, how are you? How was your day today?
Yeah, I'm good. Obviously, unfortunately, we had to wake up to the sad news of passing of a previous Arsenal player, which, I think it's always very sad to hear this kind of news. It's the second passing of a footballer this year, behind Diego Jota, and it's always tragic when we, hear this kind of news when football is for entertainment, and it is very sad when such a young talent leaves us.
Yeah, just to second that, condolences go out to Billy Vigo's family and club and his friends and supporters. What a terrible set of circumstances. I think the incident happened during a game. Uh, awful news. Once, I suppose, for us as Arsenal fans, and we all fall out of place here and there, but young player to wear the Arsenal shirt and to carry on his career somewhere else, to have his life taken away due to such circumstances is absolutely terrible, and rest in peace.
Yeah, very sad indeed, and rest in peace indeed. And we hope to honor his memory, and hopefully Arsenal will pay good tribute to him.
You'd hope so. You'd hope so, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure they will.
Yeah. So putting that sad news behind us, we will be covering the Port Vale versus Arsenal game today. And Liam, how did you manage to watch all of it? I'm just curious how you watched it. Did you sort of watch the highlights first, or you just watched it sort of re-live because it was on quite late and in the middle of the night?
I can't not watch the goals first. Like I have to watch the goals. Super happy for Eze to score, and what a finish by uh, LT Leandro Trossard. But then I did end up watching the whole game. I did indeed. I wanted to have a little look at the 9 changes he made, and Wanyeri's performance, and Norgard, and Kepa in goal. Do you know, I'm never going to attempt to say Kepa's full name. I don't have the vocabulary that I'm gonna butcher it, so I'm gonna leave it there. So Kepa, well done, mate. Clean sheet on your debut as well.
Yeah, I mean, on that note, like with Kepa, firstly, I like calling him keeper just because he's a keeper, and it just sounds. I know it's really childish, but I always call him keeper because it's like like back to keeper. So I'm really happy we've got a keeper that has a name that sounds like keeper. Anyway, there were
It's
times
always good to be childish at heart.
Yeah,
or forever stay young.
So there were times in the game when he just looked exactly like David Raya. Like, it's quite clear that both keepers have been given tactical instruction to play like that, because they were playing some proper risky balls into their midfield, and nearly got caught out at one point as well. So clearly, it's a tactical instruction that Arteta just kind of just says you have to play like that.
100%. Look, we try to beat that first press and get the ball into feet into the midfield for half turns. Kepa, Kepa's low key a good signing. I don't want to jinx him, but what I mean is, compared to the backup goalies we've had the last couple of years, like you'd take him all day, wouldn't you, for what we paid for him as well? And it seems like he knows his role. Like, he's not going to be knocking on the manager's door too hard. He's going to play cup games, you'd imagine. and he's a decent enough keeper. He's good at pen saves, and he can play with his feet. So I'm glad we got him. As it stands, I think it's a
Yeah,
good addition.
yeah. I think these are the kind of Port Vale is the kind of games where we've missed rotation. Previously, we'd still have to play pretty much 8 of our first team players, but well, this game we saw a lot of changes, which I'm sure
Nine changes.
made you happy because you as you said you feel that Arteta doesn't know how to rotate the squad, but maybe it's just previously he didn't have a squad to rotate, and now he's finally got a squad to rotate.
That's a fair point. It is frustrating as a fan when you think you see an opportunity to give the likes of Ranieri minutes and to give Saka a rest. But he done it. I think let's have a look at his team. So Kepa in goal, Ben White, Saliba, Mosquera, Skelly at left back, Eze, Nordegaard, Ranieri in the midfield three, and then Gabriel, Marino, and Saka up top. Do you know? I often wonder: Do we need to go into the market in the future to pick up another striker?
You know, I think it. Well, I guess we're going to skip to it right already, but when Jokeres came on, he had that one chance. Well, he had more than one chance.
Yeah, he had a few. He had a few, didn't he?
But you know that chance when who was it that played a really nice first time ball, and
Well,
Jokeres made a
Dalman.
was it Dalman? Yeah, I think it was Dalman because
That
it
was one
definitely
of the
came.
chances.
Yeah. Now I feel he needs to score that one. Like maybe I'm being too harsh, but he took way too long to get his shot out, and then the defender just managed to block the shot.
It was a great sliding tackle, though. To be fair,
But well, I don't know, man, because for me, I feel he needs to either hit the shot first time or after the first bounce. And I think he tries to control it, and he's like half a second too late. I don't know. I just felt that for him, he should have done better. Maybe we need like a different style of striker, perhaps. I'm not. Again, I'm not. I don't want to make it sound like I'm criticizing him because last podcast, I don't want people to get the wrong idea that I think that he's no good. I still think he's going to score a lot of goals for us. I just think that, yeah, maybe
so
you're right. Maybe
so
he hasn't. He hasn't. He's not fully fit. I don't know.
to be honest with you, I get your point. You'd
Hmm.
want a striker of his caliber to maybe go for the first time or even dink it over the keeper like a cute finish, right? Because the keeper's set.
Hmm.
He's kind of flat-footed because
Hmm.
he's ready to dive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's just slightly on his toes. Yeah. Look, he could have done better, but look, show me a striker that's going to score every chance.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
You can't.
I definitely appreciate that, and to be honest, that's what I was saying last season and the season before about Havertz because everybody. Well, I'm being
Yeah,
obviously
yeah, but Havertz would
exaggerating.
have kicked it wide. He would have kicked it wide, though.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel that we're missing Havertz quite some bit, and
Really,
yeah, yeah.
really.
It's interesting because I know that
Where are you
you're
going to
not.
play him?
Well, I still think he's good as up front. It's interesting because I know obviously you're not Havertz's biggest fan at all, but I was listening to Arscast and Arsenal Vision, and both podcasts. It's not. By the way, I haven't called them up and said please mention Havertz is a good player, but they both agree that in a City game, probably a striker like Havertz or a player like Havertz probably would have suited that game more than Gyökeres, and I agree with that.
It's an interesting shout. It definitely is because he does have that little bit of something different to play against. I do agree. Is he clinical enough? That's the thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's a
That's the
completely
thing.
different player. He's a player that always finds space. He's always like, you said before he's awkward to play against, and he's also awkward to play with because he's always taking up these rather, I don't want to say strange positions, but positions where he just sort of pops up.
He
Uh,
finds the pockets.
yeah, he
He's good
finds the
at
pockets
finding
really. Yeah,
pockets.
yeah, and I love that. I really love that. I love that.
I
But
do
yeah,
appreciate that. I do appreciate that about him. I get where you guys are coming from.
mm,
Like Kai Havertz, in all honesty, probably would have scored against Port Vale.
mm,
You put money. You wouldn't be afraid to put money on a cheeky little bet. Will Kai Havertz score against Port Vale? You'd put a couple of quid on him to do it. You wouldn't. But the thing is, my question about Kai Havertz, where is he going to come back in? Well, do you know what? No, he done well. He done well before he got injured. Do you know what? I'll leave him alone. I think we are missing his option. Him as an option. I think
mm,
he probably would have started ahead of Marino as a number 9.
yeah, yeah.
So fair enough on that point. So how long is it till he's back?
I think it's quite soon. I think it might be 1 or 2 weeks, from what I
Do
remember.
you know? I'll be happy to see him in the squad.
Yeah,
Don't get me wrong. I
yeah.
think he will. I think he will do well again, and he's stronger. Well, he's stronger this year, and hopefully,
Exactly, exactly. He's stronger. He was faster. He was looking good pre-season, and then he gets injured. It was kind of a bit of a frustrating situation because I was getting ready for him to prove a lot of people that he could score and contribute as a decent number 9. You're talking
well,
about you would back him to score against Port Vale. I would have backed Gyökeres to score against Port Vale as well, to be honest.
yeah, but you'd hope he'd score against Port Vale. To be honest with you,
Yeah, yeah. I
you'd
mean,
hope he. I mean, I know Gyökeres didn't. Gyökeres
mm,
didn't, but
mm, mm,
do you know what? At least he got a touchdown, had a soft touch, and then hit it, and then went for it.
mm,
He did
yeah,
take another touch. So
mm.
look, it was a good started tackle by the defender.
Mm.
He blocked it hard, didn't he? He got right into that tackle.
Yeah, I
He's
think
mo-
it's what you said before. Maybe I don't think he's necessarily fully fit, is he? So
I don't
I
think
think
so.
you
I
think
don't think so
you
at
think
all.
he's going to take another month.
Yeah, another month of getting solid 60 to 70 minutes,
Yeah,
like once or twice a week now, and then he'll be flying.
yeah, yeah. No, fair
But
point.
even then, you and I and all football fans have heard. I don't know if it's an excuse. I don't think it is per se. But when you hear managers say, "Look, players need a full pre-season," because it's not just about the fitness, right? Well, it is about the fitness, but it's also about the team cohesion and
Mm,
getting the early sort of tactics in your mindset and building relationships with the
yeah,
squads.
yeah,
So you're kind of playing catch up.
yeah,
But it'll come. Look, they're elite athletes. They're top athletes. They'll make it work. I'm not going to worry about it. I think he'll get better and better all the minutes he plays.
yeah. Fair point. Fair point. We'll talk about the game in general. So we didn't have to wait too long for the first goal once again, and this time it was Eze's first ever goal. So it was, we started brightly and we got the goal pretty, I'd say, easily. Miles Lewis Skelly, do you think that was a intentional flick towards Eze, or
No, it was a dummy. He didn't even touch the ball.
yeah,
Martinelli should have got the assist.
yeah? I actually did Martinelli get the assist, or did Lewis Skelly get the assist? Is that
I
is that
do you
what is
know.
it?
I
Yeah.
I don't know if it's been updated. I'm just checking now on live score.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
let's
But it
see.
was great for Eze to get his first goal. We don't want to wait too long because otherwise people will start saying, "Well, when's he going to score? When he's going to score?" So I'm sure he's happy with that.
Assist and a goal in two games.
Yeah,
That's good, man. That's really
yeah,
good.
yeah. I just think that again, you watched the highlights before watching the full game, but at the time when I was watching it, we just took a back seat and went into cruise control. For better or for worse, we just basically kept possession, and I don't know whether to feel happy or sad about or frustrated about the performance because it was a great performance when it came to sort of possession and controlling of the game in inverted commas because we still had lapses in concentration from Kepa and Mosquera in some instances, but all in all, Port Vale didn't get anywhere near us. But the question is that I'd ask you, and was fast forwarding to the sort of goal at the end. We were 1-0 up for so long. Do you think that it was a good performance? That's my first question. And my second question is, 2-0. Are you happy with that?
I think it is a good performance because you got a win away from home with 9 changes and happy with 2-0 win, clean sheet, no injuries. I get what you're saying and what other fans are saying. It was boring, to be honest with you. I was watching it. I was thinking, "Blood, this is long. This," but I was also thinking, what are you going to do? Because Port Vale weren't even defending on the 18-yard line; they were defending on the penalty spot. They
Yeah.
were so deep.
Yeah.
You know, their bus had no wheels. They couldn't even move it out of the garage.
Yeah.
So, so what? So here we go. Right, you're in that situation, and the only thing, not the only. Okay, so you're looking for intricate balls and diagonal runs between centre backs and left backs and centre backs to get into a space, right? That's very compact. Fair enough. That's part of the game, and they did that quite well. But then the only other situation you got is you're taking shots from outside the box, and then you're going to get criticised for just shooting because goalkeepers are goalkeepers for a reason. They're quick across the
Yeah.
line, and they'll see that for anyone from 20 yards out. More often than not, keeper's going to read it.
Mm.
You know,
Agree.
May-
Completely agree.
maybe they should have had more shots. Maybe they should have worked it so Wanyeri was in that inside. Let's call it an inside right channel where he had that left-footed shot on more often than not. Yeah, maybe they should have. But then the other question I would ask, and I did ask myself this: should we have sat back on our 18-yard box, invited them to come into our half and just counter-attack them? That would
Mm.
be more interesting, right? But then it's high risk.
I mean,
Well, not high
yeah,
risk, but it's riskier
yeah. Yeah, it's
because
interesting
they.
because like when you watch a game and depending if you know the score or not, the emotions are different, and this is why I try to avoid knowing the result before because if you do know the result, I can imagine it being very boring. When I was watching it re-live, yeah, as in I don't know the score,
Yeah,
it's as I'm expecting that we're gonna smash them 3 or 4 nil after that first goal,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah,
When you
yeah.
watch it, you think, oh, this is gonna be easy. We scored in the first 5 minutes.
We're
You
gonna
know what? We
run.
just play on the counter attack, etc. And it didn't happen. It just basically turned into a again, for better or worse, it turned into a Mourinho side Chelsea. Right? It reminded me so much of Chelsea back in the day. We're just holding on to possession, not really doing much, and then I don't know how to make of it. Like 2-0, I don't want to say that it makes us sound flattering, but it definitely doesn't tell the whole story in the way that we were 1-0 for a lot of the game. Um, and we only got that goal right, towards the end. And a great goal, by the way. Yeah.
Great finish. There was one action in that game that kind of said it all.
Yeah.
Martinelli was put through um, on a one-on-one with a keeper, and the keeper come out,
Yes.
and Martinelli kind of he didn't duck
I,
being tackled because
yeah.
that's fair enough, but
Yeah.
he blatantly could have gone round the keeper.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
in commentary,
Yeah.
I think it's Perry Groves, was it on commentary? I'm not sure. I can't remember. He was like in the Premier League, Martinelli goes round the keeper on that one.
Mm.
In the Carabao Cup fourth round, he's not taking a risk.
Yeah.
Do you know what? All right, there's enough in the tank to take that risk, so it's not a risk. Does that make sense? Like he could have. I think he ducked out of it because he didn't want to get clattered and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
possibly lose an opportunity in the Prem
Well,
or Champions
yeah,
League.
exactly. Exactly. And I think when you saw that happen, I think it kind of summed it up was we were keeping possession and not inviting too much challenges because
100%.
because we've been burnt with injuries. So it's game management, but season management really. And I know like haters will be haters and say, "Oh, we didn't attack, whatever." But at the end of the day, you kind of said it there. We've come out of the game without any injuries. We've won 2-0. All right, it's clean sheet, and we had most of the possession. Now, there's going to be certain narratives where people try to twist it, and say that we didn't, we've got no attacking threat or whatever. Whatever is what I'm gonna say. We're here to say what we think, and that's what we think, isn't it?
My hunch is that if a team like Liverpool did that, and I'm not sort of winding up anyone, Rocco, it would be positive. It'd be like
Yeah,
great game management.
yeah.
Slots amazing. That's what champions do. But because it's Arteta, it's like, oh well, he's gone negative again. Again, what we hammered them like Port
Hmm.
Vale didn't even bother pressing to get up the pitch.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like their centre forward at best was in the centre circle of the pitch.
Hmm.
The only time we seen the opposite half was when half time and the sides changed over. You know, because they just stay compact.
Hmm.
And they did listen. It was a trading session.
Yes, it
Port
was.
Vale,
Yeah, training session.
Port Vale will take away from that in there when they review the game. Yeah, they will talk about how good their lines were. They will talk about their centre mid sitting in between the back four and the midfield. What would have been a midfield four. They'll talk about how they shifted efficiently from left to right, and then they'll talk about Arsenal. So Port Vale can take a lot from this. What we will take from it, I would imagine, because I'm not, unfortunately, as much as I'd love to be, I'm not going to be at a team meeting. I can only dream about what they'll say. You would imagine Arteta will say, "Listen, boys, we recycled the ball well. Can we look at runs in between these players? Can we play a ball there?" Or that type of stuff. Because that's all. That's all there is to say.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I thought it was good, and I'm gonna go back to the sort of narrative and what you just said that about if Liverpool did it, then everybody would be praising how amazing Slot is, and this was actually covered on the Arsenal Vision podcast with Clyde, who's an excellent analyst, and he kind of just says very objectively is that until we win and we got trophies in the bag and medals, people are just always going to be criticizing us and you know changing the narrative on that because at the end of the day we haven't got the trophies and that's how it's always going to be until we do. Because if you look at the City game, he's actually saying it in terms of the City game is that City basically sat a whole bunch of people back for that game, which is basically what Arsenal did last season when we were down to 10 men. Yet the narrative was spun so dramatically different. And it's interesting because he mentions that on a different podcast and it's been verified by a few other channels is um commentary on that game had reached kind of record engagement across a lot of channels and including our channel as well, right? We had
Mm.
record engagement, but obviously we're maybe not on the scale of some of the other sort of mainstream media, but they got like record engagement, and I think that I'm not quite sure how to articulate why that is. I mean, why do you think it is? Do you think? I mean, you can't necessarily say it was controversial, but it just seems that that game really swung everybody's perception of who played well, who didn't play well is vastly different.
I think the part of the reason a lot of people all over the world were listening to us
Yes,
and
yes,
to all other pods out there, they want to be proven right,
yeah,
and they also want to hear. Maybe they want to hear other people's voices instead of some of the Muppets on mainstream TV.
mm,
You know, but slightly lesser Muppets like ourselves.
mm. Well, we're
but
we're
but
professional. We're professional. We know what we're talking about.
we're
Yeah,
we're we're professional amateurs, right?
yeah. We it's like you said, 66% possession, 12 shots. We hammered them.
But it was a big game. There's a lot of hype around that game because I think a lot of people might have fancied that. Oh, they expected Arsenal to win and to win comfortably. Didn't happen, so doubt creeps back into the minds of everyone about Arteta. And rightly so. Like we said, his team selection was questionable for the first 45 minutes, and then we got better the second 45 minutes. Um, it's a tough one. Do you know, the more I think about it, the more I think this Carabao Cup could be very, very important
Yeah,
for us
yeah,
and the future.
yeah,
I've got just got a hunch. If we were to win it,
yeah.
because hopefully we win, it might open the door.
Mm. Open the door to
Get
more
o-
trophies.
yeah,
Yeah,
getting over the line.
yeah,
Just getting over the line.
yeah,
Don't talk to me. We've got a cup.
yeah.
Let's crack on.
So
So
yeah,
there you go.
this reminds me of something Arsene Wenger once said. It's after the players won an FA Cup. I think it was I think it might be one of the seasons when Ramsey was still there. Because I vaguely I think it was when Ramsey was captain, but again, don't quote me on this. I just feel that the Wenger Emery line is very blurred for me. I can't remember which teams merged into what, but Wenger just basically said like sometimes players really need to win something, otherwise they get convinced that they're not good players, or they think that they're not good players, and they need the trophy to tell themselves that actually they are good players. And after that is they do have the confidence to go forward and win more. Um, Turns out I don't think we did win more after that FA Cup, but you get what he's talking about, and I kind of think that that's what you're saying as well. Is we need a trophy, whether it's the Carabao. I don't think FA Cup will do it, but we need some more trophies, and these players need to start believing.
I think it. Yeah, I think it's just. I say the Carabao Cup because it's the nearest possible trophy to win, right? Because the finals are March. If whoever gets to the final, um, it's just like you said there, and like everyone else, every Arsenal fan has said, it's just to get
Mm,
the weight off the world off your shoulders,
yeah,
and then go, and then, but, let's not forget, we are aiming and we are should be competing for the Premier League and the Champions League and the FA Cup. Like
mm,
you got to say Premier League, Champions League, FA Cup
yeah,
as a priority, right?
yeah, yeah. I agree. Yeah, I do agree with that. Yeah. We'll move on and talk about individual performances before taking a break, and then after the break, then we can select our team. Who would you have for Newcastle? Because obviously were caught out because I think after City we may have had for the City game we probably did have quite different starting 11. So I'm very curious to hear your starting 11 after the break. But let's just do a bit more coverage on some of the players that played. It was nice to see Saka play.
Do you know
Yeah.
I seen some comments online complaining about not complaining, but well, yeah, it was complaining about Saka getting like an hour against Port Vale, and I was like, how
What's
you
the complaint? That he didn't play enough or play too much? I
that
don't
he
know.
played too much?
Well, who's complaining about that, man?
And I was like, surely you want to like rebuild his fitness. That's a
Course,
perfect game
of
to give him an
course,
hour.
of course. Especially it's not just perfect opposition, but it's what we said is it was like a training session. It was not hard on the players at all. So it is perfect to just get your touch fresh, etc. And yeah, feel like
You need
fit.
to, once you have a hamstring injury like he had two now, you need to get confidence in your movement,
Yeah.
because you kind of run and you protect yourself a little
Oh,
bit, and
totally. Have you ever had a
you know,
hamstring?
not not like Saka, but yeah, falling to bits more every Sunday after football. But yeah, when you get one hamstring injury,
Yeah,
it's just
I've had two.
and look,
Had two.
you got is that one each leg? Oh,
No, same leg, and I tell you, I don't know what your style of play is. I've always been a sprinter. I've always been a winger, right and left, and I sometimes forget that I'm not 23 anymore. And it happened a few years ago after COVID. You know how it is. you've just been stuck
Yeah, yeah.
indoors, and then you just want to run
You
and
get smaller and heavier.
yeah, I was heavy. I was really heavy, but
Same.
I ran a bit too hard and tore my hamstring, and I've never felt pain like that before. I guess it's normal pain for what it is like tearing a hamstring. Um, but I stretch it out, get some physio. I go again, and I tear it again because I put it down to the fact that I'm just older and I need to stretch it out more, and it's my style of play that I am um, pushing it more than I should. And even now, I'm doing my yoga on a daily basis, and I can still feel that it's been damaged. My hamstring's been damaged. So yeah, I mean, you do need it can really affect your confidence and the way you turn and a lot of things.
Yeah, well, slowing down and speeding up, right? So hamstrings are a very important muscle to keep nice and strong. Otherwise, you can't move properly.
Yeah, yeah, it's not to be underestimated at all. You can't move properly, man, without that
Well,
hamstring.
look
Yeah,
at Michael Owen.
yeah, mm,
He's the prime example, right? He absolutely butchered his hamstring, as he said, right? He had major operation on his hamstring, right?
yeah.
And I think he had it in the belly of his hamstring. So I think Bukayo's, and forgive me if I'm wrong here, was lower at the insertion point of the hamstring tendon
Hmm.
into the knee, where Owens, I think, was the belly of the hamstring, which same but different, I would imagine, because the belly of the hamstring, it's just fibers and muscle, where if you get lower down into the insertion point, you got tendons and ligaments surrounding that area. It's a bit more sturdy. So
It's
yeah,
interesting because
yeah,
mine's the belly, and it's painful. It was painful. I wouldn't know what the other type of the attachments that kind of strain is like, but yeah, certainly now when I'm stretching and doing my yoga, I
was it
can still
like
feel it.
did you feel like you got someone hit a golf ball into the back of your leg?
I feel that it tore, like it basically tore in half the hamstring, and it felt weird because obviously my leg couldn't move, and I was in the middle of sprinting. Yeah, and I know this is going to sound really stupid, but or maybe it won't sound stupid, but you're playing amateur football. You think, oh, I just need to run it off.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, it wasn't running off. I was just like, this is really painful. I need to come off, and that's like, you never come off like in an amateur game. You just like run it off. You just carry on, and then it's kind of you sort of just it's painful for the next few days. Nah, it wasn't like that. I had to come off straight away.
yeah. That's a good one. You done yourself a good number there, eh?
Yeah, but it's like you said, after COVID, I was like way overweight. But no,
Oh, well, was
going back to Saka, it's like I just hope. Well, obviously he has more of a professional team around him, but yeah, don't keep on tearing it. I suppose is what I'm hoping for.
I think I wonder if that's why they got Madueke in,
Yeah,
because they need to manage him to keep him good long term.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
you'd hope they have that in their minds, the back of their mind, thinking, hold on a minute, Saka can't do another 60 games a week, 60 games a season. We need to get a little bit of a different option, a player that can come in and deliver, or at least give ourselves time. So yeah, let's all hope it's part of a bigger plan, and Saka does get his back to 100% fitness and whatnot, and hopefully lift a few trophies for us.
yeah, yeah. I was very happy to see him play because sometimes when you get these injury updates, you just never know how long they're out for. And they say like 4 weeks, and then you realize it's actually it's another month, and it's another month. So it's actually good to actually see him play some football. Yeah, whereas sometimes you hear them, he's played 16 minutes behind doors, and
Closed doors,
you
yeah.
just don't know if he has or not. Um, no, I thought it was a good performance as well. Like you see what we've missed because he holds onto the ball and he controls the ball so well. I really like that aspect. On that right side, there's a lot of dictating of play that we've missed, and
He's strong as well.
yeah, I think
He's
that
really
it's
strong.
great to have Madueke and him, two quite different players.
So, how do you feel Trossard did when he came on for his sort of cameo, not cameo, but for the last bit part of the game?
I thought it was fantastic. I think it was brilliant. It goes back to our debate last time because I've listened back to our podcast so many times when we're talking. Whoever seems to come on second is like the super sub because the first player on the left has knackered out that right back, and
Has done the work,
yeah, has
done the
done the
groundwork.
work, and it shows. I think that Trossard played well, but he also had the opportunity to run with fresh legs at tired legs. So, the question is, if Trossard started, would Martinelli have scored or also done as well? Right? It's difficult to say.
Here's an interesting point now
Mm,
for managers, so opposition, Eddie Howe
mm,
and his mate. How are they going to plan for the left side? Because who's going to start? Like I was thinking, who would you start now on against Newcastle? Would you give Martinelli a run or would you stick with Trossard? Like what I mean is a good problem to have
yeah,
because both fans, they're both confident now
yeah,
because they're scoring goals and making
yeah.
assists. Um, but for opposition managers, they're both different players, so
Mm, yeah.
giving opposition food for thought.
Mm. Well, I think that's a good place to take a break because we're going to come back and talk about that exact same thing. Um, but before, well, as we're doing this break, I'm going to do a quick mention to our sponsors, IA Global Education, because it doesn't matter if you are Martinelli or Trossard, you can get into Harvard, Yale, and all these top universities, Oxford, Cambridge, if you consult with IA Global Education, because they will find you the complete solution, end to end, help you with the application, talk about what grades you need to get, etc. So get in touch with IA Global Education. Like I said, it doesn't matter who you're gonna, if you're a Martinelli, if you're a Trossard, or you're another left-sided player and you don't know if you're gonna start. I'll tell you what,
Dauman,
Dalman, yeah, I'll tell you something. You could start at Harvard, IA Global Education.
and then you could buy Arsenal.
Exactly. Exactly. Right. Break over, and we don't have to wait long. So, Newcastle. Well, let's start with that question. Who do you start on the left? Because I've already decided who I'm starting on the left.
Do I only have? I've only got. Okay, no. I'm gonna go with Martin
Nelly.
Martinelli.
Yeah, me too.
Starts for me on the left.
Me too. Definitely. You want pace. I want him to attack that fullback like he has been in the last few games. He's got his confidence back. I like what he's doing. Let's continue that. I want that right back to be scared of him. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm just having little look at Newcastle's potential team.
I always get confused. It's Trippier. Trippier is right or left.
So,
He usually
sort
plays
of
on the right, doesn't he?
estimated team would be Lewis Hall at left back, Botman and Malik Thor centre backs,
Mm.
and Emil Kraft at right back. I don't know. Newcastle Sunday night away from home. Tricky game, to
It's
be honest with you.
tricky. Never underestimate these Sunday games.
I
Tricky.
don't like them,
Yeah, yeah,
especially
yeah. It was
especially when you're going to Foot
yeah.
Locker's head office.
I remember Rooney and also Crouchy and his Peter Crouch in his podcast mentioning about these games and why they're more difficult. Have you heard those podcasts?
I've heard similar stories about going up to St James's. Just St James's Park is it's an absolute fortress,
Right.
and we've struggled there recently.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I think the what Rooney says and Crouch says is like you're playing at such an awkward time, and your eating pattern has to be adjusted sort of like the night before, and it really disrupts because it's like having kind of it can sometimes feel like jet lag in a well not as serious, but it actually is similar because your eating is different and because you need to eat and make sure you crap out your food like in a decent time before the game because if you're playing with a full package it can really affect how you play and the saying that these Sunday games are really awkward for that.
That's interesting because the Sunday 4:30 compared to Saturday 3 o'clock, is there much difference there? Really?
Hmm.
So compared to Europe, so now if you compare that to a European fixture where you pay historically at sort of 7:45, 8 o'clock, you've done the whole day. Yeah, do you know it's a good conversation actually. Like day management. What time did the club get their players up, and
Yeah.
did they have a light session before? Um, what about their carb intake, their protein intake,
Exactly. Yeah.
their fluids?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's well. Listen, do you know this? The other side of the coin, these players have been playing for such a long time. Um, they should be used to it now, shouldn't they? Really?
I think what Crouchy says in his podcast is the fact that you could have like it's the constant shift is if you've got and by the way I'm not saying that these are excuses at all because every team
Oh yeah,
has
no,
them.
no, no. So,
But you can sometimes have like several weeks of 3 o'clock and then suddenly your body's getting used to it and your whole training's
yeah,
revolved around three
okay.
o'clock but then that 1 hour like for example 4:30 out on a Sunday a day later uh just disrupts your rhythm a little bit. But I think that Rooney actually says that the 12:45 ones are the worst. He said, yeah,
Because you got to get up early.
yeah, something like
Well,
that.
certain
Yeah,
players have to get up quite a bit early, don't they?
yeah,
Because you're
yeah,
12:45. You'd probably bet the stadium a solid 2 hours.
yeah,
The club will get there 3 hours before because the kit mans will get in. They'll set up the kit. They'll get all like the dressing room ready. Then you could say the players will get in there about 2.5 hours before for like any little physio treatment and just getting ready for warm up, team talk, analysis, and then you start your warm up, right? So 12:30, you warm up about half an hour. What, 12 o'clock, start the warm up ish, 20 minutes. But then you got 15 minutes before that to get ready. So you're in early doors, 11. You got to be up having breakfast
yeah.
quite early on a Saturday morning.
For me, I don't like these Sunday games because as a fan, you see everybody else play and you're right at the end, and you've already had that this season.
So here's a question for you.
Yeah,
If the league for 1 year, sorry, one season, played every game at 3 o'clock on a Saturday, like historically back in the day,
yeah,
yeah, would we have a different top four or six?
yeah, yeah. We would.
Really? Do you think so?
Yeah, I'd say the table, not just different top four, top six, the whole table will be different. I'm very confident in that. Like I'm 100% confident it'll be different. We're not necessarily vastly different, but it'll be different. Just scientifically, I can't see how these different changes in time do not affect players psychologically or physically. Right? They definitely do. Um, if somebody's played and you know already got points on the board and it doesn't necessarily I'm not necessarily referring to the fact Liverpool and Arsenal, Liverpool put their points on the board and then puts pressure on Arsenal, whatever, but let's say any two teams challenging for it, there's obviously going to be some psychological advantage to that. And then at the same time, who's got the more difficult fixture, who's got more pressure when they see the opposite team get those 3 points, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wonder how players would feel. Would they feel less or more pressure knowing that everyone kicks off at the same time? Because what I mean by that is like, let's say Liverpool have played Everton. It's 12 o'clock last Sunday, and Arsenal's a late kickoff against City. We've watched their game.
Mm,
We know we have to win
mm,
because Liverpool have won. They've beaten Everton.
yeah,
But if you kick off at the same time, I suppose you don't know. You just got to go all guns. You might get a better Premier League.
yeah.
There might be more goals scored.
I as a player, I would not like it that you play after everybody else. Like, there's so many aspects I wouldn't like. All the hype's gone, and you've seen everybody play, and you're just waiting for your game. I liken it to when I used to play in a piano concert. I used to play piano concerts, and I really did not like being towards the end of the concert. Right? You want to be sort of you want to I don't want to say get it out the way, but you just want to perform, okay, and then you're done, and then you listen to everybody else.
Right.
I think as a player, I feel the same. Or in some ways, I do feel the same. Um, so, what about you? How do you feel about it?
I think it'd be fairer.
Yeah, yeah.
And if it was 3 o'clock on a Saturday, being in Asia, we'd be able to watch more games.
Mm. Yeah.
These Sunday night kickoffs are a nightmare.
They are a nightmare. And there's something that I have to say as well before I forget is you're talking about, would we get a different table? I'd say another thing is that some teams will be more equipped and have a more professional nutrition team or physio team to prepare their squad for these awkward times. And look, if anything, I'm actually saying that Arsenal should have an advantage when it comes to these kind of games. Is I
Yeah,
think that they
yeah.
they probably do have a more advanced team taking care of them. I have no doubt about it. Look, again, no disrespect to some of the newly promoted teams, but I don't think that they'll have the same science towards it. I think even
I don't
even
know.
Declan
I
Rice said
think
that, like when he went from West Ham to Arsenal, he said that the nutrition team was completely different. Like how they told him,
really
yeah, he said it was completely different. He was surprised at some of the stuff that he was told as well.
that's interesting because you'd think with all the money in the Premier League, okay, within reason, maybe not the three promoted teams
Mm,
because they've got less of an income overall, but they're not spending millions of pounds on nutritionists. It's nutritionists on about 50 grand a year.
mm.
Do you know? So actually, a lot of the layout is the same in these Prem clubs. Let's be honest. There can't be a huge amount of difference because they're all Premier League clubs. They all know they have to have their own chefs. They all know they have the best kitchens. They all know they all source the best protein and carbs and fruit and veg. You know.
Yeah, yeah,
So, but then again, that's where it comes down to the small margins. If you've
yeah,
got
yeah. That's what I want to talk
a
about.
nutritionist,
Yeah,
if you've got a nutritionist that's just like ahead of the game, then
yeah.
you pay through the nose for him, you know?
I will just say, like, when it comes to health and science like this, I'm gonna have to bring my profession into it, dentistry. Is that you will get top dentists that will do subtly different things
Mm,
because of the way they interpret data and academic papers, if that makes sense.
right, okay.
Because you
Yeah,
can't,
yeah.
it can never be a total exact science, right? You can, they could all, everybody can be top, but there can be subtle differences to, let's say, when you're doing a filling, how long do you leave the bond on for? How long do you like here? I don't know if this means anything to you. How you layer the filling, etc. What brands you use, whatever. Like it probably doesn't affect the clinical outcome that much, like on a mass population, right?
Right.
But I always like to tell this story to patients when we talk about strength of fillings, and we are going on a slight tangent, but I think it will just sort of reinforce my point that I think that the top 4 teams will probably have better nutritionists, just because of the just because you can't, not everybody can get the best nutritionist, if that makes sense. There's only maybe 3 or 4 really top ones that are, top of their game. But I remember like attending a lecture by one of my friends in London. He's talking about doing a filling, and basically in this practice they were trying to get the strongest bond strength of filling, right?
Mm.
And the principal had developed this protocol, and I'll just say it, right? And maybe this is boring, but I'll just say it. Look, so you remove the decay, you've drilled out the decay, and then the next step, you use like alcohol and pumice to clean the cavity, right?
Okay.
Etc. Blah blah blah. Then he used a particular type of bond. Yep, it was gold standard, and everybody that's serious about the dentistry uses that bond called Optibond FL, whatever. Okay. Um, then I'm just gonna cut a long story short. All right, he then did this a certain few steps, and then they found that it was so strong that they couldn't get the template of the filling, because when you do a filling, you need a template like scaffolding. They
Yeah.
found that they had bonded the filling to the scaffolding, right? And usually you could take it off. But my point is like they had just spent like years. I was about to say months, but it was actually years just developing the perfect protocol for the strongest filling. Now, I'll tell you something. They were the only group, they were the only practice that managed to do that. To bond a
So
filling so strong that it attached onto the metal scaffolding. We call it a matrix band, right? And then they couldn't
okay.
take it out. They had to drill. They had to drill out that scaffolding and redo the filling in a week away. All right.
Was this on a person or a dummy? Because that
It was
sounds
on a person.
terrifying.
It was on a person.
Oh my
Yeah, it was on a
God.
person,
Could you imagine?
and my mate had to call up the principal. It says, "I think I've just like bonded. I think I've bonded the scaffolding to the filling," and it says like I can't get the matrix band out. And then it's just like, well, okay, well you're just gonna have to drill it out then. Which to be fair is not the end of the world. That's pretty much what you would do anyway. I think he was just trying to find, was there any possibility he could like not remove the scaffolding because he's just done a really really awesome filling. Yeah.
But then does it? So just to to
Yeah.
summarize the whole
Yeah.
value,
Yeah.
the value of the support team in football clubs and
Yeah.
how close they are or how far they may be. Does it not come down to the experience of said individual rather than if they're better or not? So would you hire an up and coming nutritionist or would you hire an experienced nutritionist?
I think it's really,
You know,
yeah, I think it's an amazing question, and I don't think that there's a right
wrong
answer.
or right
Yeah,
answer.
because
Yeah.
I tell you again, when it comes to the dental profession, you'll get some really experienced dentists that are really don't want to change, right? They don't want to change how
Right,
they do
right,
things. They're
right.
really convinced by their method, very stubborn
Set in their
about it. Yeah,
ways,
set in their ways, and it's not
like a
wrong.
matrix band.
They're still getting yeah, they're still getting good clinical outcomes, but then you do get certain dentists, and it's not necessarily experience related, that they want to try new things constantly. They want to try, okay, this brand of bond. They want to try, what if I do this? If I clean it even more, or if I use a different cleaning product for the inside of a cavity or whatever. How is that going to affect my bond strength? People. I think yeah, I think it's personality related. I don't think it's always easy to find these
Yeah.
people. And I assume at the top level of Premier League, it would not surprise me that there's only 2 or 3 around in Europe that are really, really ahead of everybody in the game. I don't know who they are necessarily, but I just remember Declan Rice just saying like, yeah, that they changed his diet like pre-game.
They also done that of Romelu Lukaku, where they reduced his carb intake and they changed his carbs from a standard sort of pasta spaghetti to a rice noodle,
Sober
rather
noodles or
than
something.
yeah,
Yeah,
rather than wheat.
yeah.
They changed it to rice, and it had a massive impact, a positive impact on his gut health, and he
Mm,
lost weight and he got a bit leaner because he holds quite a bit of weight.
yeah.
he's a strong old boy,
Yeah, he's
Lukaku.
massive, isn't he?
Absolute unit.
Uh,
So yeah, no, you're right. So, and it comes down. It comes down to small margins.
it's also decision making. Again, it's related, but do would all nutritionists know that if you put Lukaku on a different type of carb, that he would lose weight and it would be beneficial? I reckon if you posed that question to most nutritionists, in they probably do it. But then if I pose a different question, which is, does the team know and think to do that because they believe that will improve his game? Then we are talking a completely different debate. Does that make sense? What I'm talking about?
Yeah, it does. But so therefore, it comes down to experience and trial and error. Because if you don't try that new type of
Yeah.
fuel, you're never going to know the outcome.
Or maybe it's also to do with the whole team, including the manager. The manager just says, "Hey, I think is there any way we can reduce Lukaku's weight so he's quicker? I don't think he needs to be that bulky because we're playing in this certain style, etc., etc. Now, I also think that it's slowing him down and he's not as balanced. I think we really need to change that. Like,
That's an interesting point. To add to that,
yeah,
Gordon for Newcastle, he he's come out and said that he doesn't do a lot of weight work in the gym.
mm,
He just does a lot of cardio and stretching and so on because he doesn't want to be bulky. He wants to be nimble and rapid
yeah,
on the ball. So yeah, again, fine margins, right? I mean, that's why they're paid so much to make these calls and so on.
yeah.
It's really interesting when you get down to the depths of the decision making
Mm,
about the support team
yeah.
because they massively contribute, right?
It definitely, because you've got to make decisions on nutrition also based on the tactics that you're going to be doing as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, but okay, we've gone on a bit of a tangent. I don't know how we got onto that topic because I think we were talking about
I
Martinelli
forgot.
versus Trossard, and somehow I think we were talking about the 4:30 kickoff, and then we went on some massive tangent. But
That's it.
we
That's
haven't even
it.
discussed who we have up front and who's going to be on the right. We haven't even talked about the 10 other players yet.
We don't need to.
Yeah.
They pick themselves.
Joker is up front. I don't think there's any argument there.
Yeah,
Yeah, we need somebody
yeah,
strong with a
yeah.
bit of strength. On the
And
yeah,
yeah, Saka on the right.
well, yeah, I would say Saka on the right because Eze would go in as the attacking midfielder. What's your opinion on
You'd
that?
hope so.
The other
Well,
option
do
is
you
you
know,
put Eze on the right or left,
left.
and then you have Winery. But I would prefer Eze as the attacking midfielder in this game.
I think we know Arteta is very conservative from that point. Do you know, I wouldn't even fall off my chair if Mourinho started
Oh
again. I hope
yeah,
that doesn't happen.
I am expecting him to start because I think that's an Arteta.
Somewhere.
That's what Arteta's going to do. They're going to Marino's going to have a drink with him, bring some Spanish wine, say how's it going? Can I start the game? And Arteta be like, see. Yeah. I mean, I just think they're really good mates now at this point. Not a bad player. Again, I'm not criticizing him. The guy scored like 4 goals in the international break. My point is like Arteta. Sometimes I think Arteta sees something in himself in Marino or something. I don't know.
Well, do you know? So the midfield three. You're going to have
Yeah,
Rice. You're going to have
yeah, yeah.
Zubimendi, and then it's either going to be Eze or Marino, right?
There is another
Or not?
permutation. You could have Eze and Rice, and you could have Marino as the DM. That's another option.
Do you know? I think, like we said, Arteta he'll go with cut and dry Zubi, Rice. Do you know he'll probably go with Marino again? If I'm being honest, yeah, he
I
will.
think
Well,
Marino's
so well, hold
performed
on.
well
Well,
against Newcastle in the past. There, again, maybe I'm remembering this wrong, but has he scored against Newcastle before?
don't think did he score against Newcastle? I don't think he did because they kind of hammered us the last couple of games, didn't they? Especially up. especially in St James's Park. So, all right, let's refine that. So Martinelli left wing forward, Gyökeres centre forward, Saka right wing forward, then Eze as a 10, and Rice and Zubimendi as a double eight or a double six or a 6 and an 8. Back four, Calafiori,
Yeah, I'm with you there, Calafuri. You need height and strength
Mos
to play against Newcastle.
Mosquera.
I would be happy with Mosquera. Yeah.
Is Gabriel injured or is he?
I don't think he is. Didn't he come on at the end of Port Vale? Or am I remembering that wrong? I think he let's have a
Oh,
look now.
that's a
Let's
trick.
have a look.
That's a trick question.
Yeah, he did.
That's a
He did
trick
come on. Yeah,
question.
71. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he'll start. So then he'll start with Saliba. Right back, I would imagine will be Timber and then goal Raya.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
The only other thing we just mentioned there, I know we've kind of gone back and forth a touch. The only other scenario would be Eze starts on the left and Marino does come in a central position in midfield. That's the curveball, I think.
Yeah, it goes back to what I was saying last podcast. So many different permutations. I wouldn't mind Eze starting on the right, if I'm being honest.
Or drops and gives Saka a
Yeah,
rest, or
yeah. Give Saka a rest if he's not fully fit and going to get bashed about.
away from home. Well, it's a big call,
mm,
but
mm.
that's why we've got the squad. So yeah, you're right. It's a good shout.
I mean, like, look, you could have Eze on the right to start off with, and then Saka comes on second half or last 30 minutes. I think that would be good. And honestly speaking, I wouldn't mind Marino instead of Zubimendi for this game. But let's
A bit more physicality.
yeah, exactly. And I again, maybe I'm remembering this wrong, but I remember that Marino has done okay against Newcastle. Yeah. But if I need to settle in on my sort of front five, well, front six really, because I am still struggling. I think Martinelli still starts on the left. Gyökeres, yeah, those two are set. On the right, yeah, I'm inclined to say Eze now rather than Saka. And then
I'd be very surprised. I don't think that'll happen.
I just think
If Saka's fit enough to start against Vale, he'll start against Newcastle.
So about to say Sunderland. Yeah.
Yeah, I saved myself.
All right. Well, let's see. And then because in that respect, then I wouldn't mind Marino and Rice and Zubimendi in the midfield if you've got Eze on the right, and then I would say switch things up in the second half. That's how how I'd start the game. But I think if we've got a different starting 11, I really appreciate that because now we're having these debates as Arsenal fans is what is our best 11 and what kind of teams do we play. I think it's a harder call. Yeah.
It's how can I what's the best way to articulate this point? Oh, okay, the best way to put it, it's a good headache to have.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine? Oh no, let's play Madueke. No, give Saka.
Yeah.
You could never say that before.
Can you remember?
Like,
the
Norgard. We're forgetting Norgard.
We were forgetting Norgard. Yeah.
He needs minutes as well, by the way. So he needs to get. Well, he'll get a run in Champions League. There you go. I know you only take one game at a time, but Champions League is very important as well, right? So it's interesting selection pending. Let's put it that way, because now I'm thinking about it too much, and it's only a team selection. I'm just thinking who's playing where.
Yeah. On the note of Norgard, I thought he had such a fantastic game against Port Vale.
I mean, he should have done.
Yeah.
As we mentioned.
Yeah.
Considering it was a training game, like it was a good game for him to get a solid match under his belt.
Yeah, I mean, like there were times when I was getting him mixed up with Rice, to be honest. So
yeah
similar build.
tall players, aren't they? Yeah, so
I
the
like
build,
it.
the way they carry themselves.
We need more tall players like that. So yeah. All right. So are we revising our predictions? I still think it's either going to be like a 4-0 or a 4-1. So three goal difference or a 4-goal difference.
No, I think you're. I'd be very happy if you were right. I don't think it'll be that much. The handbrake's still on, unfortunately. I'm going to go over 1 or a 2-0.
You see,
Well, no, 1-0, 1-0. Oh, sorry.
yeah.
1-0 at St James's Park is not going to happen, is it? It's going to be conceded goal,
Yeah,
score 2.
exactly. Yeah.
2-1.
I wouldn't be okay. So you say 2-1. I wouldn't be surprised. Like I said, it's another 3-goal margin, so something like 5-3. So that's my third prediction. But I think that it's going to be a 4, like either 3-0 or 4-1. Yeah,
I can't wait for the game now, just to see the predictions.
I'm gonna turn off my phone, so don't bother.
Steve's going to come after you.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait. All right. I think we should call it a night there. Once again, this has been a very time has flown in this podcast, and yeah, it's been over an hour. So nice one. Well done. Thanks for accompanying me on this, and thank you all your
And
listeners as well. Don't forget to subscribe and share and follow us.
Big shout out to the listeners for joining the journey.
Yep. We are now on TikTok officially, on Instagram. If you want to listen to our clips, and also Xiaohongshu, that's the red platform on Chinese, in addition to the podcast platforms such as Spotify, Xiaoyuzhou, and Apple Podcasts, etc. All the big platforms. Yeah,
we're basically like Declan Rice. We're everywhere.
Yeah, we're everywhere. We're everywhere.
We're everywhere.
We're everywhere. We just got to.
And we're staying.
Yeah, but like Declan
We're
Rice,
not going anywhere.
We also need to start winning as well. Which means that if you are a sponsor, please get in touch, and we can win trophies together.
Everyone's a winner. William Saliba believes it. If he does, you should. 5-year contract. Thank you very much.
Yes, we haven't mentioned that, so thank you very much. Yeah, 5-year contract. Yeah, you too can be the Saliba. We can also sign a 5-year contract with you as well if you're a sponsor listening. All right. Okay. Take care. Good night, everybody. Have a good one.
Good night, Asia.
Right.
Bye-bye. 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 Have you